Have you ever wondered what secrets lie beyond the mist? Deep in the heart of the forgotten forest, something ancient is awakening, and it's calling your name. Wind howling softly. As the fog rolls in, a young adventurer named Lila steps forward, her eyes wide with wonder, yet a trace of fear dancing behind them. She had heard the tales, whispered in dark corners, of a hidden treasure guarded by forces older than time itself. But nothing could prepare her for what she was about to face. The sound of footsteps crunching on leaves. With every step, the air thickens with the scent of pine and damp earth. The trees loom above like silent sentinels, their branches reaching out like arms, guiding her or trapping her. But Lila, she's determined. She knows the answers lie ahead. The question is, what kind of answers? As Lila ventured deeper into the forgotten forest, she felt a strange sensation creeping over her. It was as if the trees themselves were whispering secrets to her, their ancient branches swaying with a life of their own. The deeper she went, the more she realized something was watching. Faint, eerie rustle in the background, followed by the soft snap of a twig. Lila paused, her heart racing. She tried to shake off the feeling. It's just the wind, she thought. But deep down, she knew it wasn't. Something was different about this place. The air felt heavier here, as though the forest was alive, breathing with her, watching her every move. Footsteps on soft earth, with a faint echo in the distance. But Lila wasn't afraid, at least not in the way one might expect. She had always been curious, always felt the need to explore. It was this very curiosity that had led her here, the stories she'd heard, the legends passed down by the elders. They spoke of a treasure, hidden for centuries, its power beyond imagination. Lila knew she was the one who had to find it. Wind picking up slightly, the sound of a bird's call echoes. Her steps quickened, driven by a mix of excitement and uncertainty. Her fingers brushed against the bark of the trees, and for a fleeting moment, she swore she could feel the tree respond. A shiver ran down her spine, but she didn't stop. She couldn't. Not now. Sound of a faint, distant growl, low and unsettling. Suddenly, the peaceful atmosphere of the forest seemed to shift. The growl echoed through the trees again. Closer this time. Lila's breath caught in her throat. Her instincts told her to run, to turn back. But she wasn't a quitter. Not after everything she'd come through to get this far. Heartbeat intensifying slightly, breathing a bit faster. Her father had always told her, courage isn't the absence of fear, Lila. It's moving forward despite it. With that in mind, she took a deep breath, tightening her grip on the compass her grandmother had given her. The delicate silver needle quivered in her hand as if urging her onward. Sound of a twig snapping underfoot, the growl now growing faint. She pressed on, every step taking her further into the unknown. Her eyes darted between the dense trees, looking for any sign of movement, any clue that might guide her. The forest had its way of hiding things, treasures, dangers, even paths themselves. But Lila was determined to uncover whatever lay in the shadows. Wind picks up again, a soft, mysterious hum in the air. Minutes felt like hours, and just when she thought she couldn't go any further, a strange glow caught her eye. It flickered between the trees, soft like a firefly's light, yet unnatural. Her heart raced. This was it. The clue. The faint sound of a crackling fire, with the glow intensifying. Lila followed the glow, stepping carefully over roots and stones, the tension building with each step. As she neared the light, she saw it. An ancient stone archway, half covered in ivy, glowing softly, with an otherworldly radiance. Sound of a soft, magical chime in the background. The archway was unlike anything she had ever seen. The stones were inscribed with markings she didn't recognize, and the air around it hummed with energy. The entrance beckoned her forward, but something about it felt off. Wind starts to die down, the atmosphere growing heavier. Lila hesitated for a moment. Could she trust this place? Was it really the key to the treasure, or was it another trap? She glanced around, but all she saw were the towering trees and the stillness of the forest. Soft whispering in the wind, almost imperceptible. Her mind raced, but her heart knew what to do. There was no turning back now. With a deep breath, she stepped forward, crossing beneath the glowing archway. The moment she did, the ground beneath her feet seemed to shift. A low rumble echoed from deep within the earth. The rumble intensifies, a slight shaking sound in the background. She gasped as the world around her seemed to change. The trees, once standing tall and proud, now bent inward, their branches twisting like gnarled fingers. The air was thick, heavy with the weight of something ancient, something powerful. The sound of distant, hollow whispers fills the air. Suddenly, a voice echoed in her mind, cold and distant, yet unmistakably clear. Turn back now, or face the curse that lies ahead. Heartbeat intensifies, soft but racing. But Lila stood tall. She wasn't afraid of curses, not anymore. The treasure was close, and nothing would stop her from finding it. Episode 1. The Hidden Path. Sound of the wind rustling softly through trees, the faint hum of distant creatures. Lila's heart raced as she stepped further into the thickening mist. The narrow path before her seemed to twist and bend at impossible angles, as if it had a life of its own. The trees above creaked and groaned, their branches heavy with the weight of centuries. Every shadow felt alive, as though something was moving just out of sight. Footsteps crunching on the forest floor, followed by a soft breath. "I know I'm close," Lila whispered to herself, her voice barely rising above the whispering winds. The compass in her hand had begun to glow faintly, its silver needle trembling with an energy that could not be explained. She glanced down at the map her grandmother had given her, an old, tattered piece of parchment with cryptic symbols and strange markings. One symbol stood out, a circle with 3 lines radiating from it. She knew she had to find it. Wind picks up, a soft rustle of leaves. Suddenly, her eyes caught something shimmering in the distance. There it was, a stone archway, half obscured by overgrown vines and moss, stood before her. It was the same symbol from the map, the gateway to the next part of her journey. But there was something off about it. A low, growling sound echoed from the depths of the archway, sending a shiver down her spine. Growling sound intensifies, then fades. Lila took a deep breath, her fingers brushing the cool stone of the arch. "No turning back," she muttered. She stepped forward, crossing the threshold, with her heart pounding in her chest. The moment she did, the ground beneath her feet shook violently, and the air seemed to grow heavier. Sound of rumbling earth, a sudden jolt of energy. What was that? Lila froze. The ground trembled for a few seconds before calming, and then, just as quickly, it went still again. That wasn't normal, she thought, but there was no turning back now. She had to press on. Episode 2. The Lost Guardian. The sound of dripping water echoes, accompanied by the faint rustling of leaves. After what felt like an eternity, Lila emerged from the archway into a hidden valley. The fog here was thicker than ever, clinging to the ground like a living thing. The silence was deafening. No birds chirped, no animals scurried in the underbrush. Only the soft drip of water breaking the stillness. Soft echo of water dripping, a quiet trickle. As she walked deeper into the valley, Lila's footsteps slowed. Something was wrong. The air felt thick with expectation. Her grandmother's words echoed in her mind. Beware the lost guardian. It watches and waits. Lila had never understood what that meant, but now, standing in the eerie silence of the valley, she began to feel its truth. Sound of soft breathing, the gentle rustling of leaves. Suddenly, from the shadows, a figure appeared. At first, Lila thought it was another illusion brought on by the mist. But no, the figure was real. A tall, cloaked being, its face hidden beneath a hood. Its hands rested on the hilt of a massive sword, the blade shimmering in the dim light. The sound of a sword being drawn from its scabbard, a soft, metallic sound. You have trespassed, the guardian's voice rumbled deep and steady. What is your purpose here, child? Lila, brave but cautious. I'm here for the treasure, the one hidden by the ancients. I need it to... Guardian, interrupting cold. Many seek the treasure. Few are worthy. Prove your worth, or face the consequences. The sound of a faint, eerie hum rising. Lila swallowed hard, her hands trembling as she gripped the compass. There was no turning back now. She had to prove herself. The guardian stepped forward, pointing toward a stone pedestal in the center of the valley. Upon it lay a glowing crystal. Solve the riddle of the crystal, the guardian intoned. Only then will you pass. Sound of a gentle, mystical chime. The crystal pulsed with an otherworldly light, and Lila felt a surge of energy fill her body. The air around her crackled with tension as the riddle echoed in her mind. I stand still, yet move with the wind. I am vast, but I am hidden within. What am I? Soft wind blowing, faint rustling. Lila's brow furrowed as she considered the riddle. I stand still, yet move with the wind. I am vast, but I am hidden within. Her eyes widened in understanding. A mountain, she whispered, almost in disbelief. A mountain is still, yet it moves over time with erosion. It's vast, but hidden within it are secrets. Sound of the crystal humming louder as if reacting to her answer. The crystal's glow intensified, and the guardian nodded. You are correct. You may pass. The stone pedestal shifted, revealing a narrow path that led deeper into the forest. The final confrontation. The sound of crackling energy fills the air as Lila steps forward, her heart pounding in her chest. The orb hums softly in her hand, its power radiating like a warm pulse through her body. Lila gripped the orb tightly, the golden glow casting long shadows on the stone walls. The final test had begun. Ahead, the guardian, now unmasked, stood in the center of the chamber, his eyes glowing with the intensity of the orb's power. He had been a figure of mystery throughout her journey, but now he was no longer just a guardian. He was her final challenge. The sound of heavy footsteps as the guardian approaches, his armor clinking with each movement. The air around them felt charged, as if the entire temple was holding its breath. Lila felt the weight of the moment settle over her. She had faced so many challenges to get here, braved shadows, solved riddles, and confronted fears. But this was the moment that would define her. Guardian, voice low, almost ominous. You've proven your courage, Lila. But now, you must prove your heart. Only then will you truly earn the orb's power. Lila, steady but vulnerable. I don't need to prove anything to you. I've already faced my fears. I'm not afraid of the orb or of you. What I fear is losing what I love most. Losing those who've supported me all this way. The sound of a tense pause. The echo of their breathing fills the chamber. Lila's words hung in the air, a declaration of everything she had learned on her journey. The orb in her hand pulsed brightly, as if reacting to the honesty in her voice. The guardian, for the first time, seemed to soften, his shoulders lowering slightly. The challenge was not one of strength or intellect, but of heart. The power of the orb was not meant for someone who sought glory or riches, but for someone who understood the true value of what was at stake. Guardian, softer, thoughtful. You've understood what few before you have. Perhaps you are the one destined to wield this power, but the true test lies ahead. The dark portal. The sound of the wind howling, a distant crack of thunder. As the guardian stepped aside, a dark portal materialized before them. The swirling vortex pulsed with an ominous energy, threatening to consume everything in its path. Lila could feel the pull of the portal, its force strong and unyielding. The orb in her hand began to vibrate, responding to the darkness before them. Lila, fearful but resolute. What is this? What lies beyond? The guardian's voice echoed as he spoke. Beyond this portal lies the ultimate test, the final challenge. The darkness you see is a reflection of all the chaos and fear in the world. To stop it from consuming everything, you must use the power of the orb to light the way and find the heart of the storm. The wind picks up, the sound of a deep rumble as the darkness swirls. Lila took a deep breath. This was it, the moment she had feared, yet the moment she had prepared for all along. The orb's glow grew stronger in her hand as she stepped toward the swirling vortex, her body tense, but her heart steady. She could feel the warmth of her grandmother's wisdom guiding her, reminding her of the courage that had brought her this far. Lila, determined with clarity. I will face whatever comes, and I will protect what matters most. Into the storm. The sound of the wind intensifies, howling like a storm. The faint sound of Lila's breathing steady but filled with tension. As Lila stepped through the portal, the world around her shifted. The chamber vanished, and she found herself standing on a vast, desolate landscape. The sky was dark, swirling with thick clouds and flashes of lightning. The ground beneath her feet trembled, and the air crackled with an energy so powerful it felt like the earth itself was about to break apart. Lila, firm with a strong resolve. This is not the end. I will end this darkness, no matter what. The wind howls louder, the sound of rushing chaos filling the space. The orb in her hand began to glow brighter, casting a soft light that illuminated the swirling shadows around her. But the storm was relentless, pushing against her at every step. For every inch forward, she felt the pull of the darkness trying to drag her back. Lila pressed on, her footsteps firm as she trudged through the storm. With each step, she focused on the light of the orb, holding it higher, willing it to push through the darkness. The shadows howled, but the light of the orb refused to be snuffed out. She could feel the strain in her body, her muscles aching, her breath ragged, but she refused to stop. This was her moment, the final test. Her grandmother's words echoed in her mind. True power lies not in what we can conquer, but in what we are willing to protect. The heart of the storm. The wind suddenly dies down, leaving an eerie silence. And then in the center of the storm, she saw it. A glowing, pulsating heart of light, surrounded by the swirling darkness. The orb began to pulse faster in her hand, responding to the energy before her. She knew that this was the source of the chaos, the heart of the storm. It was a challenge unlike any she had faced, one that required her not to fight, but to embrace. Lila, softly understanding. It's not about fighting it, it's about healing it. The sound of the orb's light growing brighter, the storm subsiding. With newfound clarity, Lila stepped forward. She raised the orb high, its light now blinding in its brilliance. The storm seemed to pause, as if waiting for her next move. And then, with a single word, she spoke. Heal. The sound of a soft, soothing hum as the light from the orb envelops the storm. As the word left her lips, the orb erupted in a blinding flash, its light streaming into the heart of the storm. The darkness screamed, twisting and writhing, but the light pressed on. Slowly, the swirling clouds began to dissipate, the ground beneath her feet settling. The storm, so fierce and relentless, began to calm, its fury fading into nothingness. A new dawn. The sound of calm winds, the first rays of sunlight breaking through. When the light faded, Lila stood in a world reborn. The storm had vanished, replaced by a clear, tranquil sky. The landscape, once barren and dark, was now alive with vibrant colors. Flowers blooming, trees swaying gently in the breeze. It was a new beginning. Lila, soft, relieved. It's over. I did it. Lila looked down at the orb in her hand, its glow now steady and warm. She had done it. Not through force or violence, but through heart, courage, and the wisdom of everything she had learned on her journey. The storm had been defeated, not with might, but with love and understanding. Resolution and peace. The sound of soft footsteps, peaceful ambiance. Lila had faced her fears, confronted the storm within herself, and emerged victorious. The world around her was peaceful, its balance restored. The Guardian's voice echoed softly in her mind. A final message. Guardian, you have done it, Lila. The storm was not just the world's battle, it was yours. And you have won. As the dawn of a new day broke over the horizon, Lila knew that the journey had been more than just a quest for power or treasure. It had been a journey to understand herself and the world around her. The storm was over, but her adventure had only just begun. A new beginning. The gentle breeze whispered through the leaves, a soft rustling sound that carried the fresh scent of blooming flowers. Lila stood in the middle of the now peaceful meadow, the orb's warm light still glowing gently in her hand. The storm was a distant memory, and the world around her seemed to be at peace once more. The sky was clear, painted with soft pinks and purples, as the sun began its descent into the horizon. The air was calm now, filled only with the quiet hum of nature, as if the world itself had taken a deep breath and sighed in relief. The land was still and serene, the once dark and desolate terrain now teeming with life. It was as though everything had been reborn, and in that rebirth, there was a sense of harmony. Lila stood still, her heart at ease. The bright sun warmed her face, and the soft breeze caressed her hair. She felt a deep sense of peace, the kind of peace that only comes when everything feels right in the world. Lila, this is the world I wanted to protect. Lila smiled to herself. She had not only saved the world, but she had saved herself too. Her journey had taught her so much about courage, about the power of kindness, and about the strength that lies within when we stop fighting and begin to understand. She knew now that it wasn't the battles we win that define us, but the hearts we open along the way. The return home. The sound of her footsteps was light on the soft grass as Lila began to walk back through the meadow, her path now clear. Birds sang softly overhead, and the flowers along the path swayed gently, as if they too were greeting her return. The once threatening trees now stood tall and strong, their branches swaying in a peaceful dance with the wind. As Lila walked home, she felt a deep sense of gratitude for every step she had taken, for every person and creature she had met along the way. Each challenge, each moment of fear, had led her to this place of calm. Her heart was light, no longer burdened by the weight of uncertainty. She had found the peace she had been searching for, not in the world around her, but in herself. The gentle rustling of leaves and the soft chirping of birds continued as she walked, the sky above transitioning to a warm, golden hue. As the sun dipped lower, painting the sky with the last rays of twilight, Lila found herself standing at the edge of the forest, where her journey had begun. The path before her was now familiar, no longer shrouded in mystery. A gentle closing. The camera pans up to the sky, the stars shining brightly as the soft wind continues to blow through the trees. The peacefulness of the night settles over the world like a blanket, and Lila, content, watches the stars twinkle above her. With the world at peace and her heart full, Lila closed her eyes and drifted into a gentle sleep, knowing that tomorrow would bring with it new wonders, new adventures, and new chances to learn and grow. The world was waiting, but for now, it was time to rest. Positive message. Remember, young adventurer, it's not the challenges we face that define us, but how we rise to meet them. Every day is a new adventure, filled with endless possibilities. The world is full of light, and it's within you too. All you need is the courage to believe in it.